Okay, welcome to this interview. Could you just tell our listeners your name or just introduce yourself?
Oh, okay, thank you. My name is Paso, and I'm an intersex activist. I'm a computer network engineer by profession, and a level 1 tennis coach as well. I was born intersex, but at the time of my birth, doctors could not determine my gender.
Okay.
That's what happened. So it was just left up to my parents to decide how they would raise me, because like we know, society expects a person to be identified. In this case, what I mean by identified, it's either you are male or female.
Yeah.
So in my case, I was raised female, though I never identified as one. Yeah. Okay.
So you said the doctors could not determine whether you were male or female. Why is that?
I cannot really explain why that was so, except it was just something which I was also told.
Okay, what were you told?
So I was just told to say at the time of my birth, they could not determine my gender.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, and they left it to your parents to raise you whatever gender they chose.
Yes, because I think from what they said, they had done a lot of back and forth in terms of going to the hospital seeking assistance. But afterwards, doctors just told them to say, you can just get the child and observe as the person grows, or as the child grows.
So how were you raised? You were raised female, right?
Yes, I wouldn't say raised female. I would say raised female because I was assigned a female gender.
Okay, they assigned you.
And I was given a female name. So in that case, I would say raised female.
Okay. So your parents gave you a female name, and all your papers from school and everything was female.
Yes.
Okay. So growing up, at what point did you realize that look, there's something not right here. There's something not in tandem with my name and the gender that I have on my papers?
So initially for me, I think I was privileged. My brain grew faster or matured faster than my age.
Yeah.
I understood from a tender age that I was different, except I could not just pinpoint what that difference was.
Okay.
Yes. I could not ask questions either, because the way our society is, I think back in the days, we could not even sit to talk with parents about issues around just sex or relationships.
Okay. So at what point did you decide to say, okay, now I need to go and look for help to try and sort out this issue?
So basically for me, I think what triggered me to start questioning a lot and trying to find, I would say, trying to understand who I was, started when I studied issues around relationships. Because I would ask myself, because if I was raised female, then I'm attracted to females, and I understood that our laws don't allow that. So that's where the questions started, and I remember asking Mom about that. And Faith, I think that was around somewhere in 2014. Yeah, that's where it hit me the most, because I would ask a lot of questions, and even in as much as the people I dated back then understood who I was, and they never saw me as female, it was really difficult, because even for them, because he is a person who identifies as female, and even the documents say female, society knows them as female, so what kind of relationship are we going to have?
Yeah. So
that was the issue which led me to try and find out what really was different about me. That's when I started seeking assistance from UTH.
Okay. So tell us about the UTH and where did you go to seek help at UTH?
So at UTH, because there was a program on radio which used to air, I think that was that was Dr. Manda's program, I think it was Manzi Therapy. So I used to listen a lot to him, and I understood that he worked from UTH.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. In fact, when I got his number, I called him. And I remember him, I wouldn't say shouting, telling me, why did you take this long? So you should go to, because at that time I think he was on leave.
Yeah.
So he told me I should go to urology and see the other doctors he works with.
Okay.
So that's how I went there.
All right. So now you have been assigned a different gender. What gender are you now?
So now my gender is male, and my name also, I had to change it.
Okay. So you've had to change your name from what to what?
So I changed my name from Frida to Baso.
All right. And your gender was reassigned from female to male.
Yes.
How was that arrived at?
So basically that, I had to undergo a lot of tests.
Okay.
Because it's just like that, it cannot just be done. That's why I understand. But I had to undergo a lot of tests.
Where were the tests done?
So those tests were done from private hospitals.
Okay.
And I can tell you that they are not cheap.
Okay.
They are not cheap.
All right. So you had to do a lot of tests and a lot of examinations. How did the whole process, walk us through the whole process until the time the gender was reassigned?
So basically, it was after those tests, then a medical report had to be written.
Okay.
Which I had to use to have my gender, or I would say my sex changed on my documents, as well as the change of my name.
Okay. So where was the change done finally? Was it at the hospital as well?
No, not at the hospital. For the hospital, what was required of them was the medical report.
Okay.
Because I remember when I went to High Court, the person I found there also told me I needed the medical report.
Okay.
And it was even worse when I went now to have my national registration card changed. Because for them, they wanted that the medical report is there. Without that, then they would not change.
Okay. But you haven't undergone any type of surgery?
No, I haven't undergone any surgeries.
All right. Now, how are you adjusting to this new gender that you have been assigned?
So for me, in terms of adjusting to the gender which I was assigned, or which I have been assigned now, it's not about adjusting, because for me it comes easy because I never identified as female.
Okay.
So all my life, I would say I lived as a male person.
All right. Now, how common is this problem? Are there other people that you know who have this issue, or who have this issue around them?
So in terms of how common intersex is, it is common.
Okay.
It is common. So I wouldn't say from the aspect of Zambia, because I've tried to check. We haven't have any research sort of to say which can say we have this number.
So are there other people with intersex that you have had to interact with?
So there are other intersex people whom I've come across, and it's really sad when you listen to their stories. I think there was a time, I think I wouldn't have reached this far in terms of doing advocacy. Because I was driven because of the way people are living and the challenges and difficulties they are going through. that's really what has been pushing me even to push further in terms of my advocacy. Because it's only when you understand and you meet with these people, that's when you can even understand to say, in my case, I even say I'm even better than them, because their cases are even worse.
Okay. Now, what would you say to parents out there who were told the same thing that your parents were told, to say observe and then decide what gender you're going to raise the child as? I mean, what would you say to some parents who don't even know what to do?
So in terms of what advice I would give to parents who have intersex children, I think the best from my experience, support groups really help. And again, it will be a matter of where do I find these support groups. So like right now, I'm the coordinator for Intersex Zambia. So we normally offer psychosocial and moral support for intersex people, and also parents who have children who are intersex. So in terms of, in the case of assigning a gender, it's really difficult, because I would say parents should do this, but also it's not just for the parents.
Yeah.
Because we should understand that there are laws which govern the country as Zambia. So it also goes to the part of the government as well. Because normally, from what I've experienced, you find that yes, a gender can be assigned, and it's just on assumptions to say, okay, maybe this person will grow up or will identify as female. What happens when they identify as male? And even worse, when a surgery is performed, then it becomes really difficult. So in terms of the names, I would advise parents to give unisex names, because from what I understand, because personally, I didn't manage to even change my name on my school certificates.
Okay.
Because when you have a neutral name, then it doesn't, because from school, I don't think on your certificate the right gender there, it's just your name. So that also makes it easier when you realize that you don't actually identify as female or identify as male. Your name won't change as such. The only thing which would be there is maybe changing of the sex marker or the gender marker.
What would you say, what would be your message to policymakers with regards to citizens who are born with intersex?
So to the policymakers, it's very important that they take keen interest into looking into these issues, because a lot of, in as much as maybe they are not aware, but a lot of people are suffering out there, especially the children who cannot speak for themselves. So it is about time, especially we understand that an intersex person, first point of contact is the doctors. There should be some sort of education on these issues in terms of intersex in the curriculum for doctors as well. And in as much as we've got also doctors who are knowledgeable, but there's no guideline which they can follow as well.
Right.
So there's a need for a guideline in terms of how will intersex people be handled in terms of the medical aspect of it. I'm not encouraging surgeries, because like I was saying, it's just on assumptions to say maybe this person falls more on the female side, but it's not normally the case.
Yeah.
From what we advise as activists, it's better when the person reaches a consenting age, when they are aware of who they are and they are able to consent to whatever procedures are there. If they want to undergo a surgery, if they consent, yes, that can be done. But if they don't, they should not be.
What has been your experience with medical personnel in terms of, have they been, would you say there's, you received adequate help, or it's been a mixed bag?
In terms of adequate help, it was challenging at first. Maybe it was easier when I met a a person who understood these issues. But trust me, a lot of doctors are not aware. Each passing day, whenever I meet or I have interaction with doctors, I always argue with them. So I wouldn't say I got adequate. The people whom I've met, like doctors who are knowledgeable, yes, I can get adequate, but again, they also have limitations because they are also working, they have to work under certain guidelines as well. So they are limited in terms of the resources as well, in as much as some can be knowledgeable, but you find that they don't have the support which they need to carry out these things.
What sectors of society do you find that have been accommodating of your situation?
It's really tough to say which sectors of society have been accommodative to the intersex people. At the moment, I don't think there's any.
Okay.
I don't think there's any.
Why is that? Why do you feel it's like that?
I think the answer is simple. So, when an intersex person is born, they are born in a society.
Yes.
So, and we understand that society has got norms and values which we follow. So, those values, if I did back in time, would say there are normally myths around intersex mates. Like, for example, they are a case, they are a bad omen. And what that does is it encourages discrimination just from there. So if society has got those beliefs to say, okay, these people are a case or these people are outcasts, then I don't think the community or the society will be accommodating. And we should understand that even every sector we have, be it legal, be it health, they come from a society. So if those values are carried on, of which we know, we grow up with those values and cultures, we take them with us in our respective areas of expertise, and also it becomes a problem.
What would you want to see in terms of how society should carry itself with regards to people who are born intersex?
Okay, what I would say is there needs to be a shift. I think before anything else, society needs to understand that intersex people are human beings as well. So it starts from there. So if they are human beings, I'm sure they are entitled to rights just like everybody else. If a person who identifies or was born male or female, if they can feel hate, an intersex person can also feel hate. If they can feel insulted, they can also feel insulted. So it goes either way. So you can say, in short, whatever someone who was born male or female goes through, an intersex person can also experience that.
I mean, how do you navigate things that we take for granted? Things like using public bathrooms. How do you navigate that?
So coming to the issue of bathrooms and toilets. At first it was challenging. It was really challenging because there are times, okay, when I was younger, because I would say I would pass as a girl or as a boy, but when I was younger, I looked more on the feminine side. So around that age, I would easily go to a ladies' bathroom. But when I reached puberty, because I think that was the time I started masculizing, I started looking more on the male side. I think it was just after puberty, I started looking more on the male side. And that was the time I had a lot of difficulties, because you'd want to go into the female's toilet and they would just look at you and say, your bathrooms are this side. So you just look at the person and, no, I'm supposed to use this bathroom. They'll just look at you and, but except for some, maybe they didn't question much, but it was really difficult. But after the change of my particulars in terms of the name and the sex marker. And after that, after puberty, I started masculizing, so I was growing more on the male side. Afterwards, I didn't have any difficulties because I didn't even now, if I was to go to a women's bathroom, I'll be chased from there. But going to a men's bathroom is easier now.
Relationships. How do you navigate relationships, like love relationships?
It has been challenging because I think, like I said earlier, that was the sole reason why I started questioning about my existence. It was because of relationships. It has really been tough. I wouldn't say in terms of falling in love, yes, I would fall in love. The person will accept me, but we'll have to understand that it's not just about the two of us. There's issues of families, there's issues of society. So if the person you are in love with is easily affected by what people say, of which I would not blame them, because society will talk, and especially if the family is the one which is saying, okay, we are not comfortable, then it becomes a problem. So it has really been challenging, I would say.
So then an intersex person finds themselves in a situation where even if they wanted to date a female person, it still be a problem. If they wanted to date a male person, it still be a problem. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not really. It's not like that. Like I can give an example of myself. So just because I think most people, and from what most people understand, is that intersex people have got both organs, which is not. It's not the same for everybody else.
I see.
And we can say both organs. Those organs they're talking about, they are not. I don't think I've come across an intersex person who's got fully functional male and female organs. I haven't met such a person. So cases will be different, and from what I understand, there are over 40 variations. So you should not expect, if you saw one intersex person, then you assume that even the next person is the same. They are totally different. So in the case of relationships, in my case, I identified as female. When I looked at my body, I said, I cannot date a male, because it's as good as we are dating a man and a man. So for me, even the attraction was towards females and never towards men. So in my life, I've never dated, even in as much as I identified as female, I was identified as female, I never dated any male person. My attraction was towards women, and I dated women.
I see. Okay. So, what's your final thought on this issue?
So in terms of...
what one message would you like to go out there?
So I would, okay, first and foremost, my message would go to the families, because family is where this person or an intersex person will grow up from. So if they don't get the support which they need from their family, then I don't think the community also will accept. It starts from within. Because even if the community may be slow in accepting, but if that person has got the support of the family, I think they feel much better. And even the risks of suicidal thoughts are reduced. Then for the society or the communities, I think it's about time they take keen interest to understand. From my experience, and understanding issues, it's really disheartening to see society, because before they even understand something, they'll start criticizing. They criticize things they don't understand. But it is about time they take keen interest to understand what the issue is first before you start criticizing or start analyzing. It's only then you understand and make an informed decision on what steps you can take, rather than just negative comments, negative what. Because this is a person we should remember that an intersex person is also a human being just like them. So whatever affects them, it also affects that person. Then away from that, when we talk of, I talked of their rules which govern, or their, like in our context, I would say there's a constitution which has got rules which we all as citizens follow. So also there has to be some sort of shifts in terms of understanding these things. We should understand, in as much as, yes, we understand there's male and female, then what happens to the people who are born in between, I would say? Who are the intersex people? Where do they go? In as much as we don't realize they exist, but we are here. So what do you do with us? Because it's about time also we are recognized. Make sure that even the service provisions also cater for us. Because when you talk of health, I don't think we have affirming health. In as much as people would criticize and say, no, they need to be corrected. If I agreed, okay, I need to be corrected, you don't even have that service which will help with that correction. It's just a matter of talking. Because these are issues where we've got people who have been mutilated, they have undergone surgery. Maybe I would say the penis was cut off on assumption that it was an enlarged clitoris, and you never followed through with the whole process to make sure that this person grows up in the assigned gender. Then what happens to that person? You would have wasted their life, because even this causes a lot of psychological trauma to this person. So in terms of, I think the government needs to really take keen interest to address these issues, because society can change, but they also say, okay, our constitution doesn't allow. And especially with the issue of, no, I don't know if it's hiding behind that notion to say Zambia is a Christian nation. From what I understand, being a Christian should not be judgmental.
No, thank you very much. I'm happy that you could be so generous and brave, really, to come out and share this. And I'm hoping that this will help a lot of people out there begin to understand this particular situation. Thank you very much for coming through.
Yeah, most welcome.